Welcome back to Jeff Randall Live. Now, against all the odds, Chelsea secured a place last night in the Champions League final after a two-leg win over Barcelona. Let's take a look at the Fernando Torres goal that sealed a stunning triumph.
He's engaged, connected with the senior players. The way that he has managed them has been outstanding. He's been a former Chelsea legend. He's been an outstanding manager. He's proved that with his managerial experience. He's 41, 42 years of age, a very intelligent, articulate man. But I think the only guarantee from this outcome is, regardless of where he goes, Roberto Di Matteo will be a Premiership manager next season.
So, an inspirational manager, it seems, can make the world of difference to a football team. But what about business? Well, Sir Terry Leahy had a glorious run as the boss of Tesco between 1997 and March last year. His successor, Philip Clarke, hasn't been so successful. He's presided over the company's first fall in UK profits in 20 years, and the share price is down by 20% since he took over. In high finance, John Varley stepped down from the top job at Barclays in January 2011. Hotshot investment banker Bob Diamond took over, only to see the bank vilified in the press and its shares fall by almost a quarter. And in September 2010, when the highly rated Sir John Rose left Rolls-Royce after 14 years at the helm, many predicted trouble. But his replacement, John Rishton, has proved his doubters wrong, and the share price has gone up by nearly 50%. Well, joining me now is Chris Roebuck, who's a Professor of Transformational Leadership at Cass Business School in London. Nice to see you again, Chris. Hi. Thanks for coming in. So the Chelsea team is the same, the stadium's the same, the fans are the same, and the owner is the same. There's only one difference from that shambles of a couple of months ago. Indeed. It's the manager. It really must be. It must be him.
It is the manager, and this is what happens in business as well. If you have the right person in the right place at the right time that is creating the right inspiration and the right focus of effort, then that actually makes all the difference. And what this is clearly about is exactly the same as an organisation or a team in an organisation. Do you have somebody who can make the people want to give maximum effort? And then can you align that maximum effort on what needs to be done? And certainly you need to think about the future, but in relation to football and in relation to many parts of business, the operational parts of business, it's about doing what needs to be done now well. Now,
on that very point, Frank Lampard, the Chelsea player, said to the press last night he felt that the previous manager, Villas-Boas, had worried too much about the future. He was a young manager, he was taking a 5-year view, and he kind of forgot that there's a game today and next week and the week after. He'd taken his eye off the ball right now. And that's is that a common problem in business?
Absolutely common problem. You tend to get two groups of people in business, both at CEO level and at operational line manager level. The people that are thinking about purely the here and now, let's get this done, the future will take care of itself. And then you get the group of people that are thinking about the great inspirational vision of the future whilst the present is falling to pieces. And actually, you either need someone who can do both, or within an organisation, what you really need is the CEO at the top, the senior leadership team creating the inspiration, the vision, the strategy, and the people at the bottom at operational level who are making it happen and getting the people enthusiastic about the vision that the CEO creates. Now that's actually a problem, because it doesn't really matter how brilliant the CEO is. It doesn't matter if all the board have been to Harvard. If the other 90% of the organisation don't know where they're going, don't know why they're going there, and to be blunt, don't particularly care, it's not going to happen. So it has to be this partnership.
In fairness to someone like Philip Clarke running Tesco with, I don't know how many employees, must be more than 100,000.
Well over.
By comparison, Di Matteo has to motivate a squad of probably 22 players.
Yes.
Much more difficult for Philip Clarke to get that sort of brotherly love going, is it not, in a global company?
I agree in some ways, but in other ways, let's be fair, bearing in mind the amount of money that those Chelsea players are getting each week.
It's a lot of brotherly love.
Exactly. So if they didn't score at all, they'd still be slightly better off than probably even Bob Diamond. But going to the organisational side of it, the CEO's role sometimes is overestimated by CEOs. If you look at all the research, what it's saying is that if an organisation is just ticking along, actually the CEO counts for about 5% of the employee's decision to give high performance. 80% of their decision to give high performance is based on what they think of their line manager and how good their line manager is. So that goes to my point about the CEO can be absolutely brilliant, but if you have a bunch of line managers who aren't really focused on what needs doing, you have a problem. And the secret is to have both, because at the next level of performance that I call Mach 1, where what's happening is people are really wanting to work for that organisation, what's happening there is that the CEO is creating an environment where everyone else can perform at their best. But at the next level that I describe as sort of Mach 2, the CEO is critical, because what's then happening is not only is everybody really wanting to do their best, but the CEO is making sure that that effort really hits the critical deliverables set out by the strategy. And that's the great partnership that you have to have between your CEO and line managers and leaders at all levels. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
And very briefly, Chris, we're running out of time. Can you think of any Di Matteos in business? People have turned up at companies and bingo. Instant transformation.
In some ways, you can look at some of the entrepreneurial people that have done that through Branson, or people in social media, etc. But it's about inspiration and people believing in the person at the top and what they're saying. So Terry Leahy, yes, that's why he was successful. Michael Rose, yes. But there comes a point in time where those people have to say, it's time to hand over to someone new.
All right. Well, it's time for us to hand over for someone new almost now. Nice to see you, Chris. Thanks for coming in.